Mm. All right. And I am your host. It is Friday. They Lemish vibes. Usually is fine. I'm pretty chill about pronouns. Um, you ever have boob regrets? Like, you put a binder on so you don't have boobs. Like, I'll show you. Flat chested, see? And then you regret it. And you want your boobs back, but you couldn't stand them earlier in the morning. Yeah. Don't have any kind of gender fluidity, or you will never be able to think about your breasts properly. It's gonna be frustrating and annoying. But let me do the thing. Sure. Boop. Okay, yes. We are 10 minutes late. Okay. Yes, I know. Boop. All right. I admit I was late. I was supposed to start the stream at 1:30. It was 1:42, so 12 minutes late. But anyway, point being, today is Friday, and I think we should do something fun. The question is, what's our plan for? Let's go to art. Let's go to no memes. No. This one. Okay, so there's a 16-hour live stream going on today for Trevor Project, so we're probably going to read into them, honestly. Let me just go here, and I'm going to put them on the thing so that, yeah, we're going to put that up, and then we're going to read into them afterward. Okay. All right. Yeah, so Roe v. Wade officially handed down today, so that's fun. Well, let's see. I was thinking, well, since you're first one here, you get to choose a topic. I was gonna either do Thirsty Sword Lesbians or, Drunkalonia, but if you have another suggestion. We could do, hang on, let me bring up Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Oh, also I have the Wildfire book. The new, oh, hi! We have new funds. Bonnie and El Batata Maqueño. I'm not gonna go to either, I'm not gonna buy followers or primes from you guys, but you are welcome to hang around and vibe with me. You are welcome to hang out. So, yes, you are always welcome to hang out. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, you guys are welcome to hang out. Say hi, you know? I'm not gonna help you with the money, but you're welcome to hang anyway, you know? Wipe it out. Oh, right, I was gonna open up the, so Wildevere is this new thing. Maybe we're gonna save that for a little bit. I could do Wildevere. So, we could do Wildevere, which is a brand new, not brand new, but They just got a physical release, so yeah, leaning forward does to make your boobs look bigger. It is a known fact. That's why you do it so much as a seduction technique. It's the angle. I mean, you know, anyone who has a set would know that. As a quick tip. Right. Your chest is really flat for that. I don't think it helps much, honestly. But you can tell yourself it does, honestly. But yeah, no. You're, yeah, you can try. Hey, if you got a low cut with a corset, you could probably make them pop a little bit. And then you gotta get the angle right, and you could probably get half decent, okay-ish, if you wanted. There's also padding. There's different methods of that if you were into the idea. But what was I gonna say? Oh yes. We were gonna bring up the Majiggy what's it? Oh yes. And I was going to I was gonna do the thing with the thing, which is an important thing we have to do. Which is this thing. And the whatchamajiggy bop! Ha ha! Oh, so the sword lesbians, right. So we were doing the three last time I did sword lesbians, I had to stop and go to work. Flags, battles. Oh yes, the epic, amazing, what's it? So, blah, 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 blah. We're going to go to this thing. Ah yes. Sparkleheart. Oh, the Castle Grayskull. They were using Castle Grayskull because that's the one they were using on the one time I actually got to one of the charity streams where they were running Thirsty Sword Lesbians. They were doing Grayskull because all the princesses in the Vanguard. They were doing that that planet. But all right, let's go to page 176 for a minute. Because magical girls are fun. Just saying. Alright, let me do this. Unless you want to do something very specifically different from magical girls. I'm not gonna say we can't, but yeah, Vanguard. The princesses, Tempestria, and Clandestina. That? Huh. Actually, that's a thought. Sig said, Castle Grayskull is afraid of He-Man as he counters their lesbian powers with his own gay vibe. So I fisted them as hard as I could, He-Man. Yeah, no, He-Man definitely has gay vibes. Unmistakably gay vibes. The, He-Man. Especially because due to censors, he wasn't actually allowed to use his sword. Like, he got the magical... And Adam, who was He-Man's alter ego, was definitely a vibe. He like, baked and was artistic and a vibe. Adam was, like, into baking and art and stuff. Very much an artistic, quiet. And then when he turned into He-Man, he got his powers from the sword. I have the power yet to shout. You know, there was a whole ritual. But he wasn't allowed to use the sword because, TV ratings, violence-y stuff. So he had to wrestle all of his opponents, including Skeletor, who is really jacked for a skeleton. You know? Like, okay. It was an interesting take on, actually on AIDS, but, that he represented AIDS or something, but, you know, yeah, no, he always had the power. Yeah, He-Man is definitely, aww, he has a gay alter, that's an interesting thought. Okay, but back on the opposite spectrum of homosexuality, we have, Sparkleheart Magic Force Go. Which is a story about magical girls who have to come out of retirement, I think. It's been years since the mystical guardians of the Sparkle Heart received their call to arms. Seemingly ordinary college students transformed to battle Eidolons, otherworldly monsters of eerie beauty and vicious intent. Thanks to the mystical guardians, the gate was sealed, just in time for finals. Sorry. PC's, No, I believe me, I hadn't even thought of He-Man, you know, the fact that Castle Grayskull is, that's probably where they got the idea, honestly. And the new She-Ra cartoon is famous for having legitimate like canon lesbians. It's awesome. Let's see. The PCs parted ways after graduation, and Sparkleheart became a distant memory. Years later, they're going to have to remember their power and their friendship to confront a new threat. Each P has their own encounter with a magical threat years after their last call to arms. This time, their opponents aren't mindless demons, they're people. They can't just Glitterblade Annihilation attack people, can you? That's an interesting question, can you... That's a thought. Can you even rekindle that magic after so long apart? I do not know. Startup questions. Ooh, this is the fun part. The startup questions are always the fun part. As a group, answer the following questions to develop your shared world. What was most terrifying about Eidolons? Eidolons? Eidolons. Yeah, the Eidolons you encountered years ago. Detached parts stay alive, beauty entrances mundane people, reflection of yourselves, right behind you when you least expect it, invisible to mundane people, predatory cunning, etc. When you were attacked recently, what did each of the attackers have in common? They knew everything about your time at school, they carried our old swords, they wore Eidolon masks, they seemed familiar but unplaceable, they mirrored our movements, they moved like our closest comrades. Oh, absolutely. Fisto's power of the fist is terrifying. Agreed. Remember, always fist with consent. It's an important... It's terrifying otherwise. Always get consent before you fist. You left conspicuous glittering heart symbol at the side of the gate, but everyone else acts as if it's always been there. Was there a mystical gate that you sealed? Where was the mystical gate that you sealed to keep out the Eidolons? Labyrinth University, natural bridge between mountaintops, treacherous tidal cave, within an enigmatic ring displayed at the museum in the city. How long has it been since you were ways? Few years, decades, no one can quite remember how long ago or why? Ooh, that's a thought. Reforging bonds. The magical Sparkle Hearts beat stronger when the PCs care for one another. Bond is a measure of care that links the PCs to the group. Each P has a separate bond track, which charts its zero bond after time spent apart. Bond tracks reset to zero each session until the PCs rebuild their trust. Track the bond in a central place accessible to all players. When a PC spends a string on another PC in a way that helps them, each PC involved marks one bond. This might mean influence a good string to give them +1 on a roll or tempt them to do some self-care. I'm sorry. I'm okay. Apparently all roads lead to Fisto. So that's fun. So anytime they, it might mean spending a string for a +3 when giving emotional support. It's the recipient's call whether the string counts as helpful. Custom rule is rebuilding trust. If the PC has trust, bonds reset their trust value instead of 0. Reset to their trust value instead of 0 at the start of each session. You can ignore this rule if playing a single session game. Character's trust can increase as a result of a string advance or by accumulating bond, and can decrease whenever a player chooses. When a PC earns a string advance by accumulating 4 strings on another PC, resolve it as normal. In addition, if the PC shares the insight they gain about the other person in an empathic way, the person gains a point of trust. Oh, I've seen various Fisto memes. I have. Sorry. Additionally, each PC can increase trust by once per session if their bond is at least 4 greater than their trust. So a PC with 0 trust can increase if they're at a 4 bond. And Eidolon are temporarily banished by inflicting conditions, but the only combined power of the mystical guardians can bring lasting end to these creatures. When you confront Eidolon as a team, each PC says the name of their signature magical attack. Then the PCs with the lowest bond rolls. If tied, whoever feels least integrated in the team rolls. Roll plus bond and subtract the number of unmarked conditions the Eidolon has. 10 or plus, working in harmony, you obliterate the Eidolon, and the GM will tell you what clue or useful object it leaves behind. 7 to 9. A disagreement, jealousy, or other disruption means you are almost devoured before the magic obliterates the Eidolon at the last possible moment. Describe it. Yes. If you get a downbeat, the GM is encouraged to make a move that turns your magic against you. Select playbooks and create characters as usual, except the following relationship prompts. When they assign each other 0, 1, or 2 strings, then assign each other 0, 1, or 2 strings as normal. Beast. Who went exploring with you the most back then? Who will be the most surprised by how you've changed? Ooh. Exactly. You have to... It's a magical girl trope. You know, you have to all work together to defeat the big evil. That's, like, the whole thing. And if you trust each other enough, because you have to, like... It works on the power of friendship, so you have to trust each other. And if you trust each other enough and work together, you can harness the power of friendship to defeat this evil being. Chosen. What relationship from back then did you break off to pursue your destiny? Who is going to be the most disappointed in you? Voted. You managed to stay in close touch with one comrade. Who? You should pay more attention to one of your comrades back then. Who? Infamous. Who was with you during your lowest moment back then? Who thinks this new menace must be your fault somehow? Nature Witch. If you had listened to one of your friends, you would have started experimenting in life a lot sooner. Who? You try to emulate your memory of one of your friends from back then. Who? Yeah, it's more My Little Pony. Well, you know Magical Girl animes, like, Magical Girl. It's a whole genre of things. It's like a whole vibe. Magical Girls is like a whole thing. With its own set of tropes and, usually they're, elementary to high school students. Sailor Moon comes to mind. But, as the most common example. But, yeah. Yeah, magical girls are usually, you know, elementary to high school students. Very rarely college, but... Yeah, Sailor... Yeah, this is a riff off that. Similar themes to a lot of other ones. Back then, you kissed someone you shouldn't have. Who was the most upset? Which of the others did you reach out to at a low moment shortly before the recent attacks? Seeker. Who tried the hardest to get you to grow past your commandments back then? Which commandments do you wish you had violated back then? With whom? Ooh. Spooky Witch. Who helped cover for you when you kept a tiny Eidolon pet? Who always seemed interested in your theories about magic even after years apart? Trickster. For years, you've regretted not sharing a secret with one of your comrades. Who and why do you hesitate now that you have the chance? Who was your greatest confidant back then, and why have you tried to distance yourself from them? Questions for the players. After the players select their playbook, ask the following questions in order. If the listed playbook isn't in play, ask the question of someone else. When answering, describe how your PC's presentation has changed. Devoted. You were the one who reached out to the others after you were attacked to call for this reunion. What time and place did you pick? Does it have sentimental significance? A Spooky Witch. Your adversary didn't attack immediately. When they extended their hand, why did you reject them? Trickster. Who or what taught the Mystical Guardians to use your powers? Why do you distrust them? Seeker. Which of your beliefs have helped you cope with the trauma of being forced into battle back then, if any? Beast. Why did you leave school before graduating? Ooh. Sorry. Okay. 680 never watched Sailor Moon all that much and wasn't familiar with magical girls because there was too much glowing, not enough fisting, and... Sorry. It sounds funny when you say it out loud. Infamous. What about your adversary was eerily reminiscent of your past misdeeds? Chosen. Why are your other obligations incompatible with becoming a mystical guardian again? Scoundrel. What's the most foolish thing you've done while chasing the thrill you felt back then, and why does it still haunt you? Nature Witch. Why do you feel like a brand new person compared to back then? Ooh, the jam section. This scenario forces together a group of PCs who used to be close but have drifted apart. There may be obvious explanations for why they parted ways, or it might be something to discover during play. Back then, the Guardians were focused on defeating the Eidolons, finding the portal that let them enter their world and stealing them out. They didn't necessarily learn the truth about what lay on the other side of the portal or the nature of the Sparkle Heart. These are mysteries to explore during play. Whatever the truth is, start off by exploring the PC's relationships. Throw the characters into shared danger and see how well they're able to work together despite their time apart. On downbeats, emphasize how an opponent slips through a gap in their team's defenses or how a new problem surprises them because they're distracted or not working as a team. Hey, pineapple on pizza is delicious. Six said he puts pineapple on his pizza, never forgiven himself for that and tries to help others avoid the mistake, but pineapple on pizza is delicious, and I will stand by that. And what works well with ham. Pineapple by itself on pizza is nah. Pineapple and ham, delicious. Introduce complications arising from the new way they've changed as well. Early on, introduce key NPCs who will help drive the PC's emotional conflict. And put a face on their adversary to be the recurring villain. It's a good idea to have some temptation to offer to lure the PCs to the side of their adversary, or to try to break their unity and loyalty, especially early on when it's most shaky. The adversary is connected somehow to the Eidolons, and might even use them as weapons and minions. Remember the conflict? The conflict in Sword Lesbians is character-focused. Make sure that the main opponents are people. Oh, ham and pineapple on pizza is, yes, kind of like an Easter dinner, and it's delicious. It's like an Easter pizza. Instead of we are an Easter people, it's we are an Easter pizza. Oh, sorry. I feel... okay, I feel sacrilegious just saying that. But it is delicious, ham and pineapple. Very good on pizza. If the Eidolons aren't really intelligent, they won't be as satisfying to center in conflict, so use them as tools for the true adversary or as threats that might require PCs to defy disaster to protect one another or NPCs. The scenario includes 2 timer mechanisms if you're playing a campaign of multiple sessions. The progress of the PC's trust and the countdown to the adversary's plan coming to fruition. The countdown may force the PCs to seek out their most dangerous foes before they're ready or risk catastrophe. Ooh. Ultimately, the PCs should learn enough about their adversary that they can make a call about whether or not they're going to try to obliterate them like all those Eidolons back then or connect them with them as people. You have a decision to make if the PCs try to use obliterate Eidolon on their new adversaries. What's the moral of the story? Have their adversaries shown capacity to grow? Are they lashing out in pain? Then a punitive destructive response might not be productive. It might fuel their pain and strengthen their agenda. It may let them turn that destructive power against the PCs and destroy something they care about or make them stagger. Oh, stop it! Sorry. No, I'm okay. I'm just distracted. I'm fine. At the other end of the spectrum, the adversaries might be irredeemable. Maybe they were hurt, but it doesn't excuse their escalation, and they won't accept any remedy other than total final victory. Or maybe their agenda has always been to take from the human world. In these cases, standing in unity to oppose them can be a positive climactic moment. You can use an upbeat on obliterate Eidolon to heighten this heroic moment and perhaps leave a clue of any plot elements not discovered during play. A mix might mean only that it takes effect after a significant delay and leads to a few more tense story beats. A downbeat shouldn't end the climactic battle, make the PCs take conditions or stagger as their adversary pushes back with their own power, then continue as with the mixed beat. If the PCs can keep up the pressure, they'll win, but they're up against something more powerful than ever before. Oh, wow. Potential adversaries. You can use either of these options or both at once. The Lost was once the final member of the team, but has been almost entirely erased from this timeline. They have a bond and trust scores of -1, but don't reveal this until the PCs try to use their bond in their presence and discover that the connection to the Sparkle Heart is unbalanced when the Lost is near. The PC with the lowest bond still makes the roll, but the modifier is the bond's -1 instead of theirs. I'm sorry. The fisting can lead to climactic finish. Dick, you're being... I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm good. I will not be distracted that easily. Did they sacrifice themselves back then? Were they left behind? Did they betray the team? Are they working with the Eidolons or for their own purposes? The idols are the latest evolution of Eidolons. They're shaped by the battles back then and made in the image of the mystical guardians. They gain power from lesser Eidolons by devouring them, perhaps as part of the bonus gem move you make when they suffer conditions. They can only imagine the power they would obtain by devouring their counterparts, the guardians. Were the Eidolons always intelligent and it's only recognized now that they're human-shaped? What do they feel toward their counterparts? Fascination? Hatred? Can they learn to work as a team the way the guardians did back then? Oh. And can they be redeemed? That's the big question. Is if they are intelligent, can they be redeemed? Or are the Eidolons possessing somebody the PCs care about? Does that? And are they piggybacking on something the PCs did and now they have to like undo their mistakes and heal the person they hurt in order to get the Eidolons to stop the freaking possession? That could be another angle. Potential countdown. What is the adversary after and how long and how are they going to get it? Use a short countdown of 5 or so steps and control the pace of the countdown by deciding how often you're going to use a GM move to progress it instead of doing something in the moment. For a sense of inevitability, simply have it advanced on its own at the beginning of each session. Countdown consumes what makes people special. 5. Everyone except the PCs choose to wear gray clothing from now on. If the PC marks hopeless, their clothes turn gray. It becomes difficult to get the attention of NPCs. If a PC is hopeless, they can no longer shout or do the equivalent in other modes of communication. Silence falls as NPCs stop conversing for pleasure and stop playing music. The PC sense distress from the Sparkle Heart and the adversary is near and trying to reopen the gate. And then the adversary gets their claws into the Sparkle Heart. One more downbeat and it will become the Heart of Stone. Whoa, that is... So, like, everyone around them starts becoming, like, disconnected and like, dang, that's intense. The second gate. The PCs detect an old-style Eidolon gate preying on people near one of the potential gate locations from their setup questions, which are, incidentally, all excellent places for a sword fight. The victims might be comatose, changed, or missing, but the mundane characters around them are oddly oblivious to the change. One of the PC's adversaries is gathering power to open a new gate and unleash a new wave of Eidolons. Will the PCs prioritize restoring what has been taken from the victims or preventing the new wave of attack? Will the adversaries learn an important secret about how the Guardians sealed the first gate to prevent it from happening again? One of the PC's mundane friends is subverted by the adversary and reveals the PC's secret rivalries and hurt feelings. The adversary hatches a plot to drive a wedge between the PCs and ambush some of them while they're not together to call upon the Sparkle Heart. They might even believe that they can recruit one of the Guardians to their side. What can they offer that the other PC can't? Oh, and then there's this, these guys. Yes. Pizza without pineapple is delicious, as well, I will admit. Pineapple does not make pizza divine, but any more than it already is. Pizza without pineapple is delicious. Pizza with pineapple can be just as good, if not better. Different pizzas for different occasions. Like a sausage, onions, pepper pizza or mushroom and bacon. Delicious. That's good. Or ham and pineapple. All of them are very tasty and all of them are feast for champions and are a good way to fuel up before a big battle. Also, mystical guardians are kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, they actually did some fun takes on that, on the angst of what because magical girls often gloss over the intensive emotional effects that going to war when you're young has on people, and by aging them up a little, they kind of can explore that more. Oh yes, so there's that. What was I gonna do? Oh yes, so my plan, I had a cunning plan, and I want to know if you approve, or if anyone else who might be in the vicinity of watching approves. Which is clever plan. My clever plan is, do you guys want to start Haven? That's my plan. So, okay, so here we go. I want to explain it. So if we go back up, explain a little about Haven and why it needs shenanigans, because there is way more. Okay. Also, Vanguard is really cool. I saw it played a little bit, and you can do some fun stuff with that. I mean, you can do some fun stuff with all of these. The 3 houses is always fun. We went over that one before though. Custom relationships, blue, yellow, red, and then there's greenhouse. The goddess vanilla, the gal paladins, and the epic Joyfeld, that one, and then there's of course the epic one where the 2 gay boys ruin the wedding because they're madly in love and they want to ditch his wedding so his sister can marry the bride, but it's in heteronormia, so no one wants that to happen except these 2, so they're, it's an epic shenanigans. And that's assuming that the bride is in love with the princess. I mean, maybe they're not, and that's a whole thing. If the princess is in love with the bride, but the bride isn't in love with the princess, if she wanted to marry the prince, maybe she was actually in love with the prince, and he's off gallivanting with his boyfriend, which is like a shame. Oh, there's so much angst. Heteronormia, yes. Oh, here, I'll go back if you weren't there for that one. Let me see. Pitch. You represent the sovereign of interstellar realm Cryptopia on a diplomatic mission to the neighboring empire of Heteronormia. The crown prince of Heteronormia, of the Heteronormian Empire, is to be married. As the delegation, you're there to advocate the interests and values of your people. This adventure tends to fall into the goofy end of the tone spectrum and can also be a cathartic power fantasy. After a chilly welcome, we discover that the crown prince is missing on his own wedding day, and that's our quick to blame you, because of course they are. But it turns out he's with his boyfriend, who stages a whole kidnapping, and they were gonna film it and make it a whole thing, and then didn't. After the players select their playbooks, ask the following questions. If the listed playbooks aren't in play, ask the question of someone else. Everyone should answer at least one question. If more than one named playbook's in play, they can each answer from their point of view or agree on an answer. The wedding will take place on a particular planet within the Empire of Heteronormia. What is this planet most known for, and what is the planet called? Is the chosen the bride? And is marrying the prince her destiny? Or their destiny? That might be a K player. If the chosen isn't the bride, who is? And why is this wedding potentially politically important? Does Cryptopia have a direct stake in the wedding going forward? Devoted or Seeker. What do people on this planet do better than they do back home? Why are the battle nuns of Heteronormia so powerful in battle? Yeah, they have battle nuns. It's awesome. One of them is named Dolores. It's it's meant to make a point. You have heard a legend of dangerous creature that lives in the wilderness of this planet. What is it, and how can you tell when it's struck? First of all, Heteronormia is ridiculous. It's a bit scary, certainly, with its spacefaring navy and fearsome battle nuns, but it's fairly over-the-top parody of real-world patriarchy. As written, it's specifically a parody of Western patriarchy with room to tailor the elements to focus on what you want to mock or rewrite for a different feel. The princess of Heteronormia is in love with the bride and has conspired with the prince for him to be abducted by his boyfriend, a revolutionary. In other words, both the prince and the princess are likely going to be in need of help before the end of the day. Of course, you bring your own complications. The infamous the scoundrel may have wronged the bride or the princess. The chosen may have a nemesis on the scene. The seeker may be native heteronormian and find their internal conflict becomes external. The bride is not rigidly defined in this scenario so that her identity can be tailored to an ongoing game, or the chosen can step into the role, or players can have input on who she is and why they have taken a stake in what's going on. If the chosen takes the role of the bride, the princess will likely try to woo them during the chaos. So that's fun. Add a little extra romance. The Kudopian vessel is directed to a somewhat remote landing site where they're greeted by a squad of battle nuns led by Captain Dolores. She informs them in an unenthusiastic tone that it's her duty to greet them and escort them to the wedding venue. This is an opportunity to do at least two things. Make it clear that Captain Dolores isn't happy with their presence. Privately, she's fiercely devoted to Princess Jennifer of Heteronormia, and she knows that the princess has become confused about her sexuality of late. She's looking for a reason to confine them and keep them away from the princess, so you don't have her awaken her inner lesbian angst, which you're going to do anyway. Start to highlight the overtop elements of Heteronormia. What is the wedding venue? A sports arena? A brand new resort built on paved-over slums or clear-cut endangered forest? A cathedral devoted to the solemn ritual of marriage? Build on the questions you ask the PCs. Shortly after arriving in the venue, the PCs overhear an alert on Dolores' communicator. The prince has been abducted. The report says that the investigators found glitter at the site of the struggle, cementing Dolores' excuse to ruin the Quertopians. The site also resembles an attack by the legendary creature of the world's wilderness. In truth, Prince Bradley's boyfriend, Captain... Sorry, his name is Captain Cucumber, and they named him Captain Cucumber. I mean, oh, he's fun. Faked a monster attack to cover the prince's escape. But Captain Cucumber, being such a fan of Quertopia, has left some glitter behind. More on him later. At this point, the PCs will likely want to prove their innocence and help investigate the prince's disappearance. Dolores doesn't want them to leave, so they may have to sneak out or find another way to escape. If they stay and gather information from the assembled guests, Princess Jennifer will find them, expressing her pleasure that they came. She's suspiciously unconcerned about her brother's disappearance. It is also the first friendly face the PCs meet in Heteronomia. Unless they've already seduced Dolores, which is... unless they've just seduced Dolores. I mean, I guess she seems kind of grumpy to be seduced. She actually knows a great deal of what's going on here, and the PCs may get a good picture of things if they get her to confide them. Of course, they may also get the impression that she's the villain, arranging the abduction of her brother, or they may be separated when a concerned parent or battle nun intervenes. The battle nun may also insist on searching their ship, and intend to plant evidence. Ooh, not good. What Jennifer really wants, but is afraid to ask for, is to invoke an ancient tradition of heteronomia. If the elder sibling can't go through with a marriage, the younger sibling takes their place. Of course, that's never contemplated the same-sex wedding, or really thought of women as people at all. Jennifer and the bride are afraid of that's reaction if they invoke the tradition. Or perhaps the bride is unwilling to invoke it unless she knows Jennifer will stand up to her parents. Or just doesn't like Jennifer back. Like, there's also that possibility. They've forgotten about that, but it's actually a distinct possibility. Like, they left the will open so you could make the bride an actual character with her own feelings that are separate from the prince and the princess's crazy schemes. Like, she might actually want the wedding to happen. Probably not. Like, but hey, you know? Certainly the king and queen of Heteronomia won't go along with it easily. It's perfectly alright the PCs learn this at this stage and run off to investigate the prince's disappearance. Or, it's perfectly alright if the PCs learn none of this at this stage and run off to investigate the prince's disappearance. They'll have another chance later. The scene of the crime. On the glitter trail. By the way, if you want to switch it up and do something else with the Friday, I'm pretty chill about it, but this is fun. I kind of love... This is a fun one. It's a little ridiculous and kind of awesome, and it has gay guys in it. Extra gay guys are always useful to have, just in general. Gay guys are just useful to have around a lot of the time. I mean, some of them are assholes, but, you know, some of everybody's assholes, so you gotta go with that. But, reminds me of my youth, when we used to write gay fanfiction for we used to ship everyone. It was a whole thing. You probably never shipped anybody. Do you know what slash shipping is? Siglin, this is an important question. Do you know what slash shipping is? And anyone else in the chat, what are your feelings on slash shipping? Let me know. You might hate it, and it, you know, I'm not, you know, it's not impossible. PCs will likely find investigating the prince. You don't know about slash shipping? Sorry, just slash shipping. Slash fiction with the shipping and the how to explain slash fic. I think the best way to start is that it started with Kirk and Spock. The two of them have very close relationship. And some people were like, hey, maybe there's a little more to that than than anyone's letting on. Like, maybe there is some sexual tension there. And then you start with, well, if there is sexual tension there, then what happens if you actually manage to ratchet it up and actually undo it and get them together? Or Spock and McCoy. Spock and McCoy is another popular ship. Basically, what if these two guys in this particular show, any show, you got Sherlock, you got John Locke's a big ship, you got although Sherlock is totally ace, so they, you could argue that case anyway. You got, and Maestrad's best ship. Okay. Even though they didn't really hook up in canon, given canon, very clear. Or Supernatural with Dean and Castiel. Basically, any show where you have two male protagonists who are closer than you'd expect from friends, there is huge bodies of romantic fan fiction for them on the interweb. Starsky and Hutch, there are small libraries worth of stories about them making out on the internet. Legolas and Gimli, that's a whole vibe. Them, those are just the main pairings. They're even the weirdest pairings. Like, there's probably Gimli and Bilbo. Frodo. Yeah, Gimli and Frodo. Although there might be Gimli and Bilbo. I mean, probably someone did it one time because every ship has been done once or twice. That's shipping 101. Sorry I got distracted, but shipping is like a thing. I'm sorry. I have to read 6 comment. I fisted New York Gimli. That still counts as one. I'm sorry. No, I'm gonna go back to Thirsty Sword Lesbians. I'm gonna go back to Thirsty Sword Lesbians, okay? Whew. Back to that. It just warms my heart that they have a gay couple, okay? It makes me happy. Now the pieces have a plausible way of tracking. Oh yes. The site has been decorated to make it look like the attack of the legendary beach, but there indeed is glitter, which is only available in the black market in Heteronormia. You can't get glitter out over the counter there. It's hard to come by. Now that PCs have a plausible way of tracking, they can pursue the prince's abductor to a secret hideout. Don't make this too hard. Crime scene investigation isn't the focus of the game, and the PCs are badasses. The trail leads them to the lair of Captain Cucumber, given an over-the-top revolutionary pirate aesthetic. Captain Cucumber has no direct exposure to queertopian culture. He learned about it through queer-coded villains of Heteronormia media and caricatures, but he embraces it. Yeah, that's what you do. You Mr. Smee is the best pirate because he's... Anyway, yeah, you embrace the Disney villains because they are gay-coded. Everyone does that. That's a whole thing of gay youth. He's got the black market glitter and the rainbow cape and is committed to the revolution. He hopes that the footage of his daring and romantic adventure with Prince Badley will inspire others. To that end, he has a variety of nets and non-lethal traps set up in the entrance to his lair, and he's prepared to confront his pursuers while Bradley hides in the closet and films the whole thing. The first PCs to enter should defy disaster or find themselves ensnared, and Captain Cucumber eagerly challenges any other pursuers to a duel. When he realizes they are Credopians, he's simply thrilled to be dealing with them. He doesn't want to hurt them. He wants to put on a good show for the camera. He's going to be famous. And what he deems to be the right moment, he exclaims, "Why would you get in the way of true love?" and strikes a dramatic pose, revealing Bradley, if the PCs hadn't figured it out already. The two lovebirds don't have much of a plan. Bradley thinks that Jennifer will take his place at the wedding. He doesn't know that she's having cold feet about invoking her interpretation of the Heteronormian tradition. After that, he might just slip away. He's terrified of his parents and wants to flee back to Queertopia, while Captain Cucumber wants to stay and fight to change things. The adventures can go many different ways from here. Prince and Princess aren't willing to confront their parents, though the PCs might be able to persuade them. They'll probably need backup, though. Whether through trickery, persuasion, blackmail, or valor, the PCs need to help these lovebirds if the lovebirds want to have a happy ending. Pick an NPC to be the main obstacle to the wedding. You can let the PCs at them directly or pace things out more by putting other obstacles in their path. For instance, Captain Dolores truly cares about her childhood friend the princess, but hasn't accepted her sexuality. The queen and or king definitely have swords and are prepared to use them. The prince and princess need emotional support if they're going to stand up to their parents' approval. Captain Cucumber wants to escalate things too far. Some of the NPC lovebirds become enamored with the PCs as well. That's fun. The bride actually wants the wedding to go through and will try to crush all of this. She could be a villain. You could. PC should also have opportunities to hash out the issues with themselves or one another. At the end, we'll see who has grown and whether or not the new generations of Heteronomians can be with the ones they love. So there's the Queen Martha Chadworth, King Branson Chadworth. The name, sorry. So there's Princess Jennifer Chadworth, Crown Prince Bradley Chadworth, the groom, Captain Dolores, Battle Nun, Sister Frances, Battle Nun, Sister Maribel, Battle Nun, and then Captain Cucumber, Gay Revolutionary. And Cutie Pie. He has to be cute. You have to make Captain Cucumber cute. It's the important, or at the very least, fucking sexy. He has to be good looking. This is an important factor in just, he has to be good looking. Further adventures. Captain Cucumber wants to make good on the revolution. Also wants to learn how to move past the stereotypes he's been taught and how to become part of the community he's never had. Oh, poor kid. Poor baby boy. Heteronormative system of patriarchy rejects any change in the heart of former people in power and seeks to depose them in favor of something even worse. Will PCs support the royal family as a lesser evil, or will they use this moment to seek more radical change? Ooh. The sovereigns are so delighted that they dispatch the PCs a series of weddings and envoys of perhaps interstellar wedding planners. Yeah, so that's where I came from. Oh, that's why the Heteronormian, the shenanigans ensued, and the wedding planner ones was a callback to that, I think. In the later idea section. But, we keep going up. Sorry, I got distracted by the wedding, because I didn't realize you hadn't heard it yet. About it yet. That one. The shenanigans in the wedding. Okay. What was the battle notes? Alright, hang on. Gal Paladins. Oh, yes. These are more adventure guides. Then there's this one is more settings oriented. Draconian Empire. Wait, where the... Oh, Yusa. Yes. Yusa Revolution. The, okay. Fair enough. So there's the Violette Dangereux. Okay, hang on. Which we were actually working on. I had one of my PCs be from frickin' Hyreth, which is basically France. Okay, sounds good. But what I was going to try to do was go to Haven and explain... Well, you know Haven. You were there for that one, I think. This is the sexy Three Orders of Ardor, and this is the cyberpunk, but lesbian, but more lesbians. Yeah, cyberpunk, but more lesbians. Neon City 2099. And this one, the cutesy cafe with the secret world wood crossing, which is still, I don't know about that one. But this one, the top one, is okay. Also, can we just, which one? Her. That captain right there. Is she not gorgeous? Alright, in a far-off galaxy, the sword lesbians of the Haven rocket. Okay, fair enough. Go to Walmart, but I'm gonna start creating Haven, because they're rocketing through the stars, and they have a, let's see, it was a setup where they had a bunch of planets, and then like 7 systems and 40 species or something ridiculous. No, dozens of species. And it's like, how does that work? And we were gonna plot out and actually figure out, because there's no world building. It's just kind of like thrown in there. Like, yes, that is an important factor, and we will get to it. Believe me, we will. In fact, I promise I will start on that today. But, in the meantime, the Haven Cooperative Union, 7 star systems with dozens of species and hundreds of cultures. Like, the hundreds of cultures, okay, can buy. Earth has hundreds of cultures, and we're one planet, but we only got 1 species. So, the hundreds of species over 7 systems, probably, yeah. Dozens of species, though? That is a little bit, the biology is like, So we're gonna have to work on that. And figure out how they all coexist over 7 planets, and it's gonna be like a a thing. We're gonna figure it out. And whether some of them are like, we're gonna work on that. Okay, so we're gonna make a haven happen, and there's definitely one who's an insectoid. We're gonna work on that. In the meantime, there's also the all the neutral unaligned, and you know, the usual. Anyway, we are oh, I have a great idea for something. Anyway, you go to Walmart, get your insulin and all the other cool stuff you need. I'll be here and stream for a little bit. Anyone else who's here? You are with me. You gonna hang with me? Okay. So, let me go back to the beginning and explain about Star-Crossed Galaxy. And then we're gonna start taking notes. And I'm gonna ask for your help. And if you're not watching, it's fine. You don't have to. I'm gonna ask for help on the Discord too. So, once it does that, we're gonna go, and the rest of us here are gonna stream and hang out, and it's gonna be awesome. So, how many people are? Maybe 2, so probably not a lot. But, and then, okay, we're gonna get started on, I'm gonna explain what my plan is for Haven, and we're gonna get started, and then we're gonna stream into a Filthy Lot, who are doing a, charity stream for the Trevor Project. So, I'm gonna raid into them afterward. That's the plan anyway. Very small raid, but, alright, sounds like a plan. And then, okay, so, let me, let me give you guys an overview of a haven, and then I'm gonna explain what our plan is. So, in a far-off galaxy, sword lesbians of the Haven rocket through the stars to make contact with new societies, to render aid where it is welcome, and to oppose the conquering legion of the Void Empress. Oppose the Empire and seek out community on a galactic scale. Star-Crossed Galaxy is a space opera that reimagines pulp sci-fi to celebrate gay love and power. Basics, okay. Make space weird and magical. Hop into your space whale with your chosen family, investigate a magical vortex to another realm. Cross swords with the Legion on Galactic Livestream when they raid your underground talk show. Fall in love with a gay spaceship. One motif of Starcross is put a familiar situation into a completely alien context and explore how that context inspires you to imagine new possibilities. Space is vast and full of possibility. Connect with your community or pine longingly across the parsecs. Meet people who live in a way you never imagined and wonder why you do things the way you do, if it's habit or intention that structures your life. Thirsty sword lesbian shines when it's used to tell stories centered on the people you can talk to, flirt with, try to understand, and duel. One side of this is being generous with information. There are no mechanics for how well you can scan a space anomaly or understand the physics or magic behind it. GM should just tell you something interesting and actionable information about it. The other side is to get people involved. So you don't make investigation checks or something. You just say you want to investigate a thing and the GM will tell you about it. Which makes it harder for the GM, but also it's less frustrating. Because here's the thing. If you are GM and you make some cool lore and then your player rolls a nat 1 on investigation, well, you can't tell them the cool lore. And then it's kind of like, oh man. So if you have permission to just give your players the cool lore whenever they ask for it, yeah, okay, that might not be a bad thing. Although finding out more cool lore if you do get a high roll is, I kind of like that too, so it's a double-edged sword. Maybe the Space Anomaly Herald's a confused time traveler who's been in so many continuities they can't keep them straight. Or maybe a scientist is deeply interested in getting credit for the discovery, or the Legion wants to harness it against a nearby world. Ooh. Okay, the captain in orange there, total hottie. She is gorgeous, and I would love to respectfully snag her senseless, depending on, if she's up for it. If she's ace or not into me, like I'm very respectful of that, but like, dang, she's beautiful, The Haven Cooperative is a union of 7 star systems with dozens of species and hundreds of cultures. They are united by a shared commitment to cooperate and mutual learning. Cooperation and mutual learning. The Haven can serve the PC's home community, or you can determine a smaller community within the Haven, especially if you're interested in exploring conflict within this utopian realm. The antithesis of Haven is the Void Legion, an authoritarian and exploitative power that desires domination over the galaxy. The Empress is popular in the Imperial core, and she uses the might of her legion and the sophistication of her propagandists to expand and consolidate her power. The independent star systems dot the galaxy, bound together through a patchwork of fast-and-light travel techniques. The wormhole network connects its far-flung systems on opposites of the galaxy, while networks of other of ether streams provide more local travel. In between the stars known to the Haven are vast swaths of the galaxy that can't yet be reached. Some ancient light speed signals have emerged from nearby unreachable stars, but any conversation would take thousands of years, because light speed is really, really slow when compared to the vastness of space. So you have to go faster than light if you actually want to do anything. But wormholes can be fickle, and the ether streams are countless. Explorers who brave uncharted routes can find awe-inspiring wonders of nature and meet new civilizations. And explorers from elsewhere arrive from time to time. If they're lucky, they won't arrive in the Void Empress's territory. Ooh. Campaigns. PCs are agents from across Haven who cooperate in the Void Legion space in an independent world, supporting local factions working toward liberation and trying to thwart the Void Legion schemes. Okay. This is campaigns. One is Agents of the Gay Agenda. Rebel catfolk occupy territory in urgent need of resupply. Can the PCs sneak, con, or flirt their way through Void Legion space with cargo ship and keep the feline freedom fighters from failing? Can they get a ship full of refugees back out? Ooh, yes. During a visit to an independent system, a Haven-friendly activist introduces the PCs to a friend who's been questioning their gender and wants to talk about it with people who will understand and aren't part of their local circles. Meanwhile, a magic sword is stolen from the museum where they work, a relic that would be extraordinarily dangerous in the wrong hands. Can the PCs support their new friend while also retrieving the relic? The Void Legion's new blockbuster film is about to premiere, and the actors are traveling to an independent world as part of a tour to wine and dine the local influencers. The PC's mission is to discredit the Void Legion's propaganda and disrupt their influence. Maybe blowing up the cinema. Or burn down the cinema. Yeah, burn down the cinema during Nazi war film. You know, cliche, but it works. The PC, so seeking connection. The PCs explore rogue wormholes in dangerous ether currents and wind up exploring their own relationships and emotions as much as they explore outer space. The PCs arrive in a star system full of four-armed green cuties and mostly just have a nice time getting to know them. Miscommunications and conflicting feelings spice up the visit, and someone might get challenged to a duel, but the scale is interpersonal and immediate. These emotional conflicts with the PC's playbooks as inspiration and introduce them to green cuties who are struggling with the same issues they are. A rogue wormhole drops the PCs in a new star system, then collapses behind them. The people of the star system initially wary or even hostile because it just so happens that a Void Legion scout force has recently been raiding the system and has abducted a number of people. The silver lining is this means there's probably another path back to known space. But you have to go find the Void Legion and rescue the kidnappees before you can do anything with that. A giant space beetle has appeared in contested space and seems to be trying to communicate. As first contact experts, the PCs are called in to try to befriend the new arrival. Of course, they're not the only ones with interest in the visitor, and the way they handle conflict with other interested parties will surely shape the Beetle's perception of them and of the Haven. Characters. Okay, so Meat-Eater Karikcha? Zizar. Mantid who study with empathic dryads, with the empathic dryads of Rond. Zay is an influential figure of the Hive movement, whose vision for the Haven is modeled on eusocial behavior with space bees. She has a taste for sweets and is always looking for excuse to bake and shares her treats, but the sword on her belt isn't just for show. A Dryad lover gave her a gift, one of Dryad's many arms which provided the wood for the sword's frame. It's edged in red laser, the color of her leaves. Does her vision for Haven match that with the PCs? Will there be a friend, an enemy, or both? Okay, so we have Mantis people. We have this. Okay. So here's where we get to the nitty-gritty, right? PC has seven systems, but they have no description other than they're Mantis people, and Rond is apparently a place with dryads, so maybe that's in Haven, or maybe it's out of. They seem to maintain friendly, close relationships with people outside of the direct 7 systems, so that's up there. But that's 2. Or is Rond a planet? You know, is Rond a planet, or is Rond and if they have a planet like Ortho Toriel where they have, you know, a handful, because if you get up to dozens of species, something like Ortho Toriel where you have just an inordinate number of sentient species for some reason is actually a possibility, because the math doesn't really work out that well otherwise unless you get some interesting things in, which we'll get to. So there's Tentaculus Drunctopus Bloodsea. Former champion of the Legion, a muscular octopus woman with blue skin and ruddy vampiric tentacles for hair. When the Legion arrived in her world, they came as friends, there to share technology and protect them against a terrible threat from the depths of space. Tenta's family made a pact with the Legion, and when someone in her world rebelled, she fought as a Legion general. Now she sees that she bought into a lie. The family she trusted had sold out their world, and the people she hurt were right all along. She's too ashamed to return home, but she helps the people of Haven and independent systems resist the Legion with her knowledge and Legion tech sword. The PCs need help navigating Void Legion territory. Can she move past her shame and face her past? Will victims of the Void Empress rent their hurt on Tentacula, and how does the PCs respond? Okay, so we got her Divine Radiance, Ellie Verdine of Crystalia. She, her, but she's technically an opal, not a woman. I don't know what gender opal exactly means, but they don't fit into the binary nation of male and female, but opal that's how they perceive gender, but she goes by she, her pronouns, so okay. Religious figure, I mean, I go by she, her, and I'm a woman, so I get that, She, her is not exclusive to women, it just is more feminine than most. A religious figure and talk show host from the world of Crystalia. Crystalia is said to be the birthplace of the sheltering darkness and the nurturing light. And the reverence of these extremes is the foundation of common faith on many worlds. For generations, Crystalia held a reputation for moral courage and authority, but it was silent on the validity of the Void Legion. Ellie recently denounced her own world government for its silence and has begun publishing evidence of Legion atrocities, evidence that had been sent to Crystalia by those begging for aid and support in surviving the Legion's expansion. She has no sword, only the crystalline regalia of her station, chosen by the Radiance. Does she invite the PCs into her show to interview them, or for them to debate someone else? The PCs see the toll of her rebellion has taken on her and offer her support. Then you got Zephyr Celeste, an autonomous spaceship, she, her. Zephyr Celeste was built by the Void Legion and experimented in a new tier of artificial intelligence, but one sophisticated enough to control the Doomsday weapon they built into her. Fortunately for the rest of the galaxy, they were able to control their creation. They were unable to control their creation, and she's just escaped them. She's programmed herself to never kill again and is trying to find a new way to make the galaxy better. She's also very interested in conversations about identity. In particular, she has been questioning her gender she was assigned at birth. They spelled birth with a B because, she was assigned not based on being birth as in a human or other alien, but because she was built. Was Zephyr devastating weapon ever used before she broke free, with people demanding that she be destroyed, with the Legion hunting her? What would the PCs advise? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Traxi, Daedur. A dragon sex worker and information worker with contacts on a dozen worlds. They only accept payments for sex work and secrets, but their information can be had in trade. Day is a wingless blue dragon, about 8 feet tall, with long serpentine torso and thick tail. Okay, so Traxi, dragons are a thing in this universe. Whether the dragons are part of Haven or not is a question. Are the dragons Haven, official part of the Haven systems? And if not, their sword is nimble and envenomed, but it's rare that they need to draw, given their stature and wide range of friends. When the CCs need intel, what price does Traxi ask? When word gets out that they know a juicy secret, how long before Traxi comes to make them an enticing offer? Ooh. And then there's Countess Mordella Fang, she, her, milady. A pale imperial noblewoman, muscled and scarred. Despite her military prowess, she is most renowned for her extravagant parties, typically taking place at unique locations such as Titan's Graveyard or the Whispering Nebula. These gatherings are where deals are made that reshape alliances on a galactic scale and where scandals unfold to destroy her rivals. In jarring contrast to her elegant and elaborate jackets and gowns, Fang's sword is a jagged blade of bone with a reddish tinge. She stole the sword from deep within ancient ruins during the pacification of a border world early in her military career, and she refuses to part with it. The PCs can prove she's a literal vampire. Would that harm her social standing? Maybe not. Can they attend one of her parties and beat her at her own game? Maybe. Will they seduce her? Probably. Will that go well for them? Probably not. So then there's Captain Denise Bycross. She, her. Captain Bycross commands the ISS Insatiable, part of the Imperial Void Legion's expeditionary force. Her continuing mission is to seek out new life and new civilizations and conquer them in the name of the Empire. Lank and quick, with short blonde hair, Captain Bycross is deadly with her immaculately maintained top-of-the-line Legion laser blade. Per standard Void Legion practice, she doesn't simply blast enemy starships with her energy cannons. Rather, she leads the boarding party to face enemies hand-to-hand and take the ship intact. Her career has stagnated, however, because she refuses to wed any of the male admirals. Rumors that one of them even began an investigation into her fitness for command under suspicion of sympathizing with subversives. Just how sympathetic can the subversives persuade her to be? Does she have qualms about what she's done? Can she beat them to a new discovery and show up when the PCs least expect it? Also, is she actually sympathetic, or is he just butthurt and trying to fuck with her? And she actually is very loyal to the Emperor. And does that change, Sir Loyalty to the Empire change when she gets investigated? Okay. Get creative with pronouns. Techno Witch, Nature Witch playbook to character who's in tune with technological environments, either instead of or in addition to the natural ones. There's a variant on page 67 describing how to do it. And then there's the custom move of crossing vast distances and what bad or good things happen when you're running around going far. All right. Let's see. When you undertake a journey across the stars, resolve these prompts in order that you pass through the regions described. PCs resolve these as a group, not individually. If any part of your journey is with the Haven Cooperative, name a friendly person and describe their area of expertise. They will say hello and give you useful information, an opportunity, or a shoulder to cry on. So, some old friend will pop by. If you're going through independent space, roll plus the number of friends you can name who live near the route. Max +3. So you have to come up with people's names. +10, you're invited to partake in a delightful local social function. Yeah, so you're just invited to some sort of local party. 7 to 9, you're asked to fulfill an obligation under local customs. What about this is inconvenient or uncomfortable? In the end, are you glad you participated? 6 or less, the GM is encouraged to make a move that emphasizes the PC's alienation from the local culture, consequences of their previous adventures in the region, or growing influence of the Void Legion. Void Legion relates you roll +0, but +1 if you have help of someone who has spent years there. So if you've got Tentacular on your ship coming with you, she can give you a +1 because, 10 plus, you see something beautiful or that is beautiful or gives you hope. Pretty Space Nebula. 7 to 9, you receive unexpected pleas for help, which you have to answer because, you... And 6 or less, the GM is encouraged to make a move that puts someone in immediate danger or foreshadows ominous development. So you get caught traveling for Void Legion space and they don't like you. If you're in an uncharted region, you just roll randomly. Hella random. 10 or more, you encounter a natural phenomenon or space creature that brings you delight or helps you. 7 to 9, you come across a wounded space creature or an ominous derelict ship. 6 or less, the GM is encouraged to make a move that disorients the PCs or damages their ship in a way that requires them to find a rare resource to fix before they can get home. Okay. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty cool. So, okay, so now that you guys have an interesting on this, here's what my plan is. And you can tell me if you don't like it, but here's the play. Haven is like world building, okay? Something like this makes my world building start to itch because look, okay, 7 planets, right? Okay, so we got 7 systems, which may or may not have more than 1 planet each. We'll get to that. Let me put this down for a minute. So we got... Alright, 7 systems. I'm going to start. Okay, so we got 1. We're making a list. Just work with me here. There's a method. Okay, so species. So there's hundreds of cultures. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, Earth has hundreds of cultures, and we're one freaking planet. You know how it is with different weird cultural variations. The U.S. has 50 states, and they all have... The states have... And that's one country, and then Canada, and get started on actual Canada, and then different parts of Canada, and freaking Europe has more countries than you could throw a freaking dart at, and it's tiny, so... They have, 10 different languages. It's a quarter the size. You get how the U.S. can, be, like this. So you can get how Earth has a lot of cultures, and that's not even counting Africa and Asia, which got screwed over by European colonialism, so it has layers of freaking layers of cultural cut, where the borders got put and where they used to be, and the different tension between that. There's a lot of cultural shenanigans going on in this world, and that's not even counting freaking Australia. And did I miss any? Oh, the whole South America. Oh yeah, that's a whole angst and a half. More colonialism bullshit. But here's the play with that though. Hundreds of cultures makes sense. Dozens of species. So, here's the question for you guys. How does 7 planets support... Okay, so if we want to go with dozens, that's 12. 1 dozen is 12. 2 dozen is 24. Now, if you're feeling generous, you could argue 20. So there has to be at least 20 species between the planets. What if we say... so 20 species between 7 planets is 3 a pop, right? Unless one of them is Toil and has... Toil or Orth, where it has an inordinate number of frickin' species, elves and dwarves and humans and all that, all of them. And 1 just because it has an inordinate number. but there's not going to be more than one of those, so you got to figure out, well, 2 or 3 each. Because if you have something like that, you might get, what, 10 on one, and then that's one for each. Even if there are 10 on one, which is an inordinate number of species, sentient species, for one planet. And even D&D worlds, that I don't. Having a full 10 is indication of magic, which magic apparently works. So we do have magic and space. We're Star Wars theory, where space magic is a thing. Space and magic both work simultaneously. They don't interfere with each other. They just kind of both work. We'll go with that. All right, let me check something. Because, okay. How many, let's see. Okay. Sure. Alright, so, what do we have? So we get Dragonborn, Dwarf, Elf, Halfling, Half-Elf, Gnome, Half-Orc, Human, Tieflings, and then we got, those are more orcs. Okay. We got Leonin, Satyr, that's a whole, Owlin, Aarakocra, Aasimar, Air Genasi, Bugbear. Okay, Genasi's probably only count as one. So that's, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, half-elves don't count because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because half-elves, 6, 7, 8. So 8, okay, 8, 7. So 7 works, yeah, it works if half-orcs count as one. So 8. That's 8, and then, okay, Satyr and Leonin that's 10, and then you got Owlin is 11, Aarakocra, Aasimar, 12, 13, Genasi is 14, Bugbear, Centaur is 6. Okay, Changelings. Alright, Duergar. Okay, Duergar and Deep Gnome are just... Eladrin are just elves. Fairy, maybe. Furbolgs are their own, so that's 12. Okay. Githzerai and Githyanki, I would count them as one. That's Goliaths and Goblins and Harrigons and... Okay. Kobolds. Fair enough. Okay, so... Minotaurs. I don't even know what the... Yeah, a lot of them are... Okay, Sea Elves and... Yeah, okay. So, Shifters are more... Tabaxi. Okay, Turtles. Okay, so that's... Alright, so if we had one of all of them, that would be probably a dozen. Let's just say, because there's... Alright, So if we had a planet like that... Maybe... we could get up to... And then one each for the rest of them. But I don't think one each for the rest of them is fair. And honestly... The way they phrased it made it sound they were more spread out. So we're going to try to spread them out a little bit. But the question is then, do all of them native? Are some of them created? We're going to work with this. So, first thing we do need to do is name all of the systems. And then figure out who is their what. So, so far, 0. Alright, so far we got 0. Okay, so we got... 1 is... Rond. Which, to be fair, is, that's how we got that for 1. And they have Mantis and they have Dryads. So... Okay, so they have Mantis and Dryads. So they have at least 2 species. So we got that and... okay. Alright, it is pushing 3, and I... Shut up. Alright, I need to... So that makes the species count 2. Okay, Rond is not the planet name, though. Or the system name, because there might be... I'm thinking there's at least... a couple planets with more than one systems with more than one planet. Alright, but now they understand what we're trying to do with Haven. I'm gonna leave it up for now, but we're gonna do more on this on a later date. So, Okay, we're gonna do that. Hit save. Close that out. And all right. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think there's many of you here, so I'm not gonna bother with a lot of stuff. But I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate anyone who comes to the streams, even if you're just lurking. I really appreciate it. And I will do more like Warhammer 40k or for 5e fun stuff later. Tomorrow we'll see what's happening tomorrow. But first, we're gonna raid. I do throw up most of the streams end up on YouTube. Let's see. But right now we're gonna raid a Filthy Lot because they're doing a fundraiser for the Trevor Project and it's cool. So we're gonna raid. And hopefully you guys, at least some of you guys come with. If not, no worries.